Welcome to Our Invisible Guests, episode 5. Today we're going to go into where the journey begins, the interviews, and it starts off with my father, William, and how he met my mother, Lonnie, and their journey from being teenagers through the 60s and dealing with a number of personal issues and getting involved with some of the revolutionary movements that were going on in Ann Arbor, kind of Detroit, Rock City area. Although it's their story, I think it's a story that a lot of people at the time experienced on different levels, emotionally, and big social change, and trying to get free of this old system that was very intense and military and oppressive. And when I did these interviews, it helped me understand my past a bit more and kind of where my parents are coming from. And with understanding comes compassion, so it's a good thing. So let's go ahead and show the clip, and we'll talk a little afterward.
I'm not very good at the big picture. I just kind of go into one little thing at a time. So Dowagiac, Michigan was, I don't know, it was like 30 minutes, 25 minutes from Niles, but that had a exciting music scene going on there at a place called 5 Mile. And we got a gig there. My first high school band was called The Outburst.
I met William when I was 15. He was at one of the dances that I attended.
I believe it was like our third show. There were 3 teenage girls in the front. I fell for one.
When I entered the room, I remember looking at the stage. I remember seeing him singing and thinking to myself immediately, like, I think I know that person.
We hit it off right away.
William walked right up to me, as if he also recognized me. He ended up calling and asking if I wanted to go out.
I will say the first time I came to her house, I knocked on the door, and her father came to the door, opened up the curtain, closed it, and walked away.
My father started drinking very hard, and it was difficult to communicate with him.
She comes out, opens up the door. Oh, you're here. I said, yeah, your father came, but he didn't open up the door for me. And she turned back yelling, Dad, why didn't you open the door? Why'd you do that? We're both young people from small towns on a path of discovery that we were not fully aware of yet. I invite her to come up and stay with me in Ann Arbor.
Which was the Hill Street house in Ann Arbor, Michigan, where the White Panther Party, political party, existed. John Sinclair was the kind of like the head spokesman for the White Panther Party at the time. We went to this one room where there was a television, and there were a number of young people in the room watching an interview with John Sinclair, who had just been imprisoned for giving away a joint of marijuana.
It was a time of experimentation by everybody. You had Alice Cooper walking down the street in Ann Arbor in chiffon and lipstick.
To my understanding, the Beatles were coming and going and were staying on the 4th floor, but nobody knew that. Timothy Leary was doing it. There were some weathermen that were there. The weathermen were militant. They used violence to fight violence. It just seemed to me like a vicious circle.
Some things worked, some things didn't, some things were stupid. Some people made big mistakes, serious mistakes.
So that was what I walked into.
At the time, We were really searching to make a new world, and we were really frustrated with the way it was. That was the height of the Vietnam War.
And it became the foundation of a political revolution. The first night we were there, we walked into the room, the MC5 were all in the room together. I came to learn that they were a revolutionary group.
You know, when I look back on it, I go, that was really a powerful time.
It wasn't long after that a concert that was decided to be put on by John Lennon to bring greater awareness to what was happening to John Sinclair and why there was so much force and control.
I really remember Kent State and the protests there, and they have the National Guard and soldiers come out, and then they just shot into the kids.
He was traveling in a group through Ohio, and he was already experiencing these revolutions and these attacks on the young people for speaking out.
You saw people on the sidewalk. Nobody had any guns or anything. I went there a week later, down in Ohio, and then immediately Crosby, Stills and Nash put out the song "Four Dead in Ohio," and then everybody played it.
A lot of music came out of that. A lot of people wrote songs about the outrage they felt and the grief they felt from that.
It was like a call. It was like our country was fighting ourselves. God.
It was like martial law came in, and the enforcement was pushed, on these young people that they couldn't speak out.
So it felt like it was a war against our age and people in college at the time, and us questioning authority. It's like we weren't allowed to, and we were going to. So that came to a head.
What I've been trying to highlight here is the amount of social and cultural trauma we have from the past. It might be my parents' story, but I think it's a story that a lot of people the same age group can relate to. And for people my age and younger, it gives them a point of reference to where a lot of this transformation emerged from. I hope this gave you an opportunity to get familiar with the characters and some of the themes. As this progresses, we'll get deeper into some of the more mystical stories. Thanks for joining me.